Hey coaches, welcome back again for another installment of Middle School Air Raid as we go through this series of how to implement, install, and execute the Air Raid offense at the middle school level. We are at the point where we are getting into our Air Raid drills. Uh, I wanted to wait on this one to where you got a real good idea of what the plays are and the types of routes we were running in the plays, so you can see how these drills were created specifically for the air raid and how these drills will help you. And you're going to want to run these every single day. Again, just a quick reminder, if you haven't connected with us on social, please do it, especially on YouTube. Tell another coach so they know that they can run the spread at the middle school level. And then again, of course, I'm going to keep pushing this this coaches roundtable. We want all different types of coaches, not just spread coaches out there. Coming to the very end here, we have these drills today, and then we'll get into the install and practice plans next, and then we'll talk about scripting, which is probably just an ongoing conversation, but at least talk about how we script the field. So you know what to call where on the field, not so much, exactly what to call every single play. All right, cool. So let's get into these everyday drills first. These drills you're going to want to do literally every day because they complement the plays, or vice versa. I don't know, chicken or the egg, but you want to do these every day. So settle and noose. We use this as a warm-up. This is supposed to be 50% speed or less. Usually it's probably more around 25%. Because this usually the first thing that we do. And we started doing this instead of stretching. And we're going to continue doing that. And that's, Mummy was pretty legendary about not stretching at all and just using these things as warm-ups. Anyway, so what you're going to want to do, whether it's in Indy or before practice, if you need to get this in before practice, you need about 5 minutes, 10 at the most, but usually about 5 minutes. Once they know how to do this drill, they can line it up and do it. So these are buckets, for lack of a better icon. These black things are buckets, okay? And basically what we're going to do is have our receivers lined up in a line looking in, but we want to imagine that these are linebackers. We want them to see these buckets as linebackers, and the grass in between as open grass, okay? So again, this whole offense is based on receivers finding open grass and settling in. This is called settle and noose. So receiver, since this is 50% speed or less, we really stress to the quarterbacks and the receivers that it is perfect technique, okay? So quarterbacks, we're gonna have a coach or a kid sitting here snapping the ball to the quarterbacks. On the snap, he will take a perfectly technical drop, 3-step, 1-step, rocker step, 6-step, whatever you want to work with on. This is the perfect opportunity to get in some indie with the quarterbacks and really work technique. Same thing for the receivers. So this receiver is first in line. He is up here, and he's got his stance right. He's behind this. He's got his stance right, the proper foot up, whatever in his mind, wherever the ball is, the proper foot is up. He is coming off the ball without a false step. We will check them on that if they are not having perfect technique. When they get advanced, that can work. Release moves right here. If they're behind this bucket, when they get older, they can use this bucket as a release move and get off and away. But really at this level, we're looking at false steps. We're looking at wasted movement. So the receivers will run here, tap this bucket with his right hand. He's always looking at the quarterback, just like in a game. So at the same time, these receivers will come in, tap this, come back, tap this, come back to the middle and take one hard outside step. So on this guy would be his right foot, step hard toward the quarterback. This guy hits the middle, then takes a hard step with his left foot. That's the outside foot toward the quarterback. Once they take that hard step, the quarterback can nice and easy toss it over to him. Now, the quarterback is aiming for the opposite of the closest defender. This is a defender, garbage can, so he's throwing to this shoulder on this side. and that receiver is going to catch the ball on that side and just roll, literally roll right upfield. We don't want any side-to-side movement. This offense, if you catch a 5-yard ball, you owe me 5 more yards. So they need to almost, just like basketball when we were growing up, they took a drop step to go straight back. They pulled one of their outside feet straight back, and that's what we want to teach, is roll with the ball and get upfield. And if they can do that, they're going to get a couple extra yards regardless. So they step hard to the quarterback, roll with the ball, and give me 5 yards. This guy's going to, at the same time, simultaneously, he's closer to this bucket, so the quarterback is going to throw to this shoulder. He's going to catch it and roll directly upfield and give me 5. Then he's going to go to this line. He's going to go to this line. And the quarterbacks are going to continue on. These guys are going to go tap, tap, one hard step toward it, catch the ball, and roll. At the same exact time, this side's going tap, tap, catch the ball to his left shoulder, and roll upfield. And it's a perfect technique, period. Okay? All right. I want to mention that these that I drew up in huddle is not the best place. Coach Ron Mackey, who's on our page, I talk about him a lot. He has a free drill book here that he gives out. I would suggest going to ronmackeyfootball.com and going to get that. I'm just going to give you the pared down version. So settle a noose, 5-minute minimum every day. You have to do it. There's no choice. It's just a matter of when you do it. We started doing it during Indy period last year, but we got into blocking so much. We started putting this during stretch and kind of took the place of stretch, to be quite honest. Okay, the next everyday drill that you're going to do is pat and go. And this literally usually it's settle a noose. That's about 25 to 30% speed. Pat and go is what we do exactly next, and that's maybe 30 to 50% speed. And we had 2 quarterbacks last year. And you can go, the more people you have, we had a spring camp before this whole pandemic happened, and we had 4 quarterbacks, but let's just look at it and with 2 quarterbacks first. So we have quarterbacks, this guy's facing that way, this quarterback is facing down, and these receivers are facing down. So this quarterback is throwing to this receiver coming this way. This guy's running a 3-step stick. This quarterback is working with this receiver, and he's running a 3-step stick. And so we're going to switch up the routes depending on the day and what we want to work on. But same type of thing. Since it's half speed or so, we are doing a perfect technique by the quarterback. The quarterback coaches are really hounding them on this. And receivers, again, perfect technique. This is a little faster than settle and noose. We're picking it up a little bit with the pace. But this quarterback is working with this line. We're going to do it all at the same time. Well, these guys can have different cadences, but I mean, we're going to do the same route. So first, we're going to start out with stick. This guy's going to throw a stick here. This receiver is going to catch the ball, run, drop the ball in this guy's bucket, and go get in line over here. Same thing. This quarterback's going to throw a stick to him. He's going to catch the ball, run, throw the ball in this quarterback's bucket, and get in line. Okay. Then after a few minutes of sticks, we're going to move on to, snags, then we're going to move on to shallows, and we're going to move on to corners, and they're just going to keep rotating around and putting the ball in these quarterbacks' bucket. So this line is moving and running to this line, just so it's a constant movement, and people are getting balls from either side, okay? Now, if you have enough quarterbacks, we did it this spring, like I was mentioning, QB here, and then there's a wide receiver line here. And then these guys are switching with each other, okay? So this line catches the ball, goes back in this line. This line catches the ball and goes back in this line. This line catches the ball from this quarterback and gets in this line. This quarterback and this receiver throw a ball, catch it, and get back into this line. So that's pat and go. Still not 100%, but we are building, we are warming up. So if you start your kind of 20-minute typical stretch period with settle and noose for 5 minutes, you do this for another 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, and then you go on to routes on air. And we actually have a period for routes on air. We don't do it as part of warm-ups because it is pretty awesome drill. I love this drill, routes on air. This is the third everyday air raid drill. So those first two, settle a noose, and pat and go are everyday air raid drills. This is the third everyday air raid drill. You don't get a choice. If you're going to run air raid, you have to do this, okay? So here we go. Without it getting too confusing, we line up in all of our different formations and do this, but let's just start with our open set, open wide corner, okay? So we call the play open wide corner, and we get all of our quarterbacks. So if you're lucky enough, in colleges, they have 4 quarterbacks doing this. Last year, we had 2 quarterbacks and 3 coaches doing this, but the great thing about this drill was that on every single snap, every single receiver was getting a rep, and every single quarterback was getting a rep, okay? And like I said, we didn't have very many quarterbacks. We had coaches throwing these because it was more important for these kids to catch balls every single chance. Okay, so we get into open. These are buckets. We set them up to where the defense will drop to post-snap, okay? Not pre-snap, but post-snap. And we just run the play. And every quarterback throws a ball and every receiver catches a ball, okay? So here we have 5 quarterbacks lined up for 5 receiving positions with the running back included. This quarterback throws the swing. This quarterback throws the corner. This quarterback throws the snag. This quarterback throws the backside stick. This quarterback throws the backside stick, okay? Now, when you start to get good at this, here's the great thing. These 2 are backside gifts, so there's no progression. They're just pulling up and throwing it like there's no defender out here, okay? Now, here is where we get a little bit trickier, because once you get good at this, you want these quarterbacks to make this read, okay? And like take the time to look where he's supposed to look and then throw to where he's supposed to throw. So in this scenario, we're going to look for wide corner. We're going to read this corner, right? So we want him, this quarterback that's throwing the swing, to mimic that. We want him to, at the snap of the ball, look deep. Basically imagine that that guy is covered, that this corner is dropped out, and then drop it down to the T. We want this quarterback to naturally 3-step drop and throw the Y, just like he would. We want this quarterback, again, to peek the deep ball, assume that there's a DB there, and then throw the snag, okay? Now, after this first rep, here's what we do. We rotate. So we slide everybody to the right and around, okay? So these quarterbacks will rotate around. So this quarterback will now come over here. This quarterback will slide down. This quarterback will slide down. This quarterback will slide down. Now, this quarterback is throwing the swing. This quarterback is throwing the deep shot to the corner. This quarterback's throwing the snag. He's now throwing the inside gift. He's throwing the outside gift. And now we go again. So this T is now looking deep, sees the corner, makes his read, and dumps it to the T. This quarterback is now taking a 3-step drop and hitting that corner in rhythm like we would in the game. This quarterback is looking deep at the corner and seeing if he's there, and then dumping it to the snag. And these guys are just taking gifts without reading the backside. Okay, so you get that? So then after this rep, we rotate again, and we're literally just rotating through. So each one of these quarterbacks gets each one of these throws and reads on each of these plays, and then once everyone has gone through each receiver or each pattern, each one of these quarterbacks throws each pattern, we're going to switch. Then we're going to go to, whatever, mesh or whatever it is. But we're going to go through, if we're working drop back game that day, we'll go through our drop back games. If we're working quick game that day, if we're working one of each, we'll go through those of each. But routes on air is an everyday drill that you need to do. It's probably about a 10 to 15 minute drill where you can just rep through the plays you're working on that day. Everyone gets to catch every play. Everyone gets to throw every play, and you will get rep after rep after rep. This is the secret to the air raid, guys. These 3 everyday drills are the secret to how you make these receivers understand the distance between these linebackers, understand settling in and putting your noose up and getting upfield directly. It helps them because when they run a snag, they are running the snag at the heels of this outside linebacker. And as soon as this linebacker crosses his face, he throws his hands up. When they're running mesh, he crosses this linebacker's face, and then he settles and nooses right in between these linebackers. When we're running stick, he is running right at the inside numbers of this inside linebackers, turning around and settling and noosing. Okay. When we run shallow, when anything that we run, this all comes back to these everyday drills, and it really gets it in their head. Not only how to do it, but the philosophy behind it. Okay. Okay, so those are the everyday drills. Those three, you have to do it. And I'm going to show you in the practice plan next how we do it. Here's a couple other drills that I picked up along the way from other air raid folks that I want to share with you. Since we run pedal screens, bubble screens, and tunnel screens so much, we can get into this and just rep the living piss out of it in 10 minutes. You don't even need 10 minutes. But basically, here's what you do. You get a quarterback looking down here with his F and his L. So that's to a quarterback's left side, right? And he's going to work pedal screens over here. So we're going to get all the Fs for anybody that would run a pedal screen in line back here. He's going to take his hard step forward, hard step back, and back pedal out. Quarterback is going to take the ball and shoot it out to him. And the L is going to practice blocking on that linebacker, okay? Conversely, looking directly at that group is another group, and this will be to the quarterback's right. So this quarterback has his Y and his R. On that side, we're going to run tunnel screen. So instead of a pedal screen where these slot receivers are backpedaling, these R's are running a tunnel screen that one hard step forward, one back, and then they're working toward the quarterback and working their way upfield, and they're going to catch it coming upfield toward the line of scrimmage, okay? So we're working two different types of screens, and it's a great way to just rapid fire. Have a line of R's here, have a line of Y's here, have a line of F's here, and a line of L's here, and you are just flying through rep after rep. The quarterback gets a rep every pass, obviously, and you're just 10 minutes of this flying through, and you're good to go. So I think Coach Colthrop calls that the orbit drill. But that's just what we do for screen drills. Okay, that works both of our outside screens. And the last one, I have not done this, I'm going to be quite honest, but I've been wanting to run the bandit drill. This is legendary from Coach Mummy, and a lot of people do this. So like this would be your last period of the day. Not a lot of these high-level teams run team anymore, where you get in and like scrimmage with each other for 20 minutes at the end of practice. They're doing things like this, where they are setting up. There is a defense. Don't get me wrong, but it's not about competition per se. It's not about like, can the defense stop the offense? It's more about lining up and getting as many plays as fast as possible, and just repping it. Okay, and basically what they do is go from the one end zone all the way down the field. It's pre-scripted, so you would just kind of jot out for your equipment guy or the hurt kids on the team, or a coach that's not doing much, and he would be placing the ball quickly in between every play. And no matter what, you would just move on to the next play in the script. So, theoretically, you'd be coming out at the 5-yard line, run a play. The guy that spots the ball runs up to the 10, and you run the scripted play. In this scenario, we're up to the 25. We run a play no matter what happens. No matter what happens with the play, we run up here and run. Okay, now we get into early. So we yell it out just like they're running to the ball with no huddle. Early, Y stick. Oh, that's not a Y, that's a 3. Early Y stick. So everyone is running to the ball just like they would in a game without huddling. Get into early Y stick, throw wherever he wants to throw it out there. Then we run up, the ball is placed again. Late, rows, and then we throw a tunnel screen. And so, by the way, the guys that are catching the ball, if you're behind the 50, the guy who catches it is running and finishing to the 50. If you're 50 yards and going in, you're scoring to the end zone. And that's how we can get in the reserves at those positions. If someone's breaking it deep or has to run far, get in the reserve, get them up to the ball, and just keep it rolling. Okay, so bandit drill. These guys are legendary for it. They script the field as well, so they will have 3 plays when they're coming out inside their own 20. They'll have 8 plays on their menu in between the 20s, and then another 4 plays in the red zone. So they're scripting it that way. They're scripting the bandit drill, so they know exactly what's going on. The defense is out there. They will get gassed. It's not about competition. It's more about making sure they're set up, look in the look that the defense that they're going to play, showing them, dropping to their zones, and just working through it. And you can do this quickly, have a whole team go down the field, come back the other way with the backups, and then just keep it moving and keep people rotating in. And it actually, from what I can tell, almost looks like it's a conditioning period all into itself. Okay, and that's a whole nother topic we can talk about some other time. Anyway, those are 3 everyday drills. Settle and noose, pat and go, and routes on air every day. You don't get to even discuss it. If you're air raid team, you got to do it. And then the screen drill and the bandit drill are extra little bonus drills that I've picked up along the way that I love and think that have a lot of value. Okay. All right, cool. So thanks again for joining in the fun. We are coming toward the end. We're going to get into the 3-day install, which I love because there's always a lot of questions about that. And then practice plans next time. Join us again and make sure you're telling friends so we can get people running the spread and bringing kids back to the game at the youth levels. Okay, talk soon.